Welcome to the While You Were Working podcast, presented by Rogue Marketing. When you're responsible for revenue, it's hard to look up from the work. But while you're doing your day job, the market shifts. While You Were Working is where we turn today's trends into tomorrow's strategies. Welcome to While You Were Working.
Welcome to While You Were Working, the podcast for revenue accountable business leaders who want to stay ahead of the curve. I'm Chip Rosales, managing partner of Rogue Marketing. We're business builders with a marketing toolbox, and I'm so glad you're joining us. Navigating today's business terrain means balancing culture, technology, and sustainable growth. That's why we sit down with leaders who go beyond the expected and shape what comes next. The world moves fast while you're working, and today's guest is someone channeling connection and innovation to scale revenue. I'm thrilled to welcome Sean Hammerle. Thanks for being here. He's the president of OnQ Global, a company that helps organizations scale through expert contact center services, back office automation, and process improvements that boost efficiency and elevate the customer experience. Sean is known for driving revenue growth, building scalable systems, and fostering a culture that feels a whole lot more like family. At OnQ, that family mindset isn't just part of the culture, it's a proven growth driver. And so today we'll talk about how he blends culture with cutting-edge technology to fuel sustainable expansion and what's next for the company. So Sean, I'm really glad you're here. I'm excited about it because, I just explained what OnQ does, and I'd love for you to kind of share with the audience what OnQ does, but I really want you to talk about this concept of family that you have at OnQ.
Well, thanks, Chip. I'm really glad to be here. And so, yes, OnQ, we are an outsourcing company. That's usually what people think of us. We are the call center of the outsourcing company. I look at us as a leader in outsourcing because we're combining labor and technology, something that's really important in today's world, and looking at how do we balance the culture and lead and ensure that our people understand that we want to grow with technology and we don't want to think of our future as replacing humans because, like you said, we're a family. And so OnQ is an outsourcing labor and technology company that's a US-based company with 3 operational hubs in Panama, India, and Kenya. And we do have that culture of family, and we really look at focusing on the 3 pillars that we have. Q Health is focused on the healthcare industry and medical billing. Our Q Tech pillar is focused on technology, the automation, and AI. And then Q Solve is everybody else from finance to car rental services to entertainment. We are moving across other verticals.
Excellent. And I imagine that you're making some pivots and you're trying to grow in those areas. And we probably can talk about that in just a little bit.
A lot of pivots.
Well, so let me tell you, okay, a lot of pivots, a lot of things going on. You mentioned labor and technology. Wow, two major things that are going on in our world right now. What are your top concerns in your role at OnQ?
I think our top concern is we just had this conversation. We are an EOS, Entrepreneurial Operating System company. And so we have these quarterly meetings with the executive team, and our 10-year target, which is 10,000 employees, elevating others on 5 continents through OnQ and subsidiary companies by 2032, we asked ourselves, okay, when we created this core target of 10,000 people, that didn't take into play AI. And so we had a really in-depth conversation amongst the owners and our vice presidents of, is this where we want to go? And resoundingly and unanimously, we said yes. So I think the challenge for us that we're continually looking at is how do we merge the two so that our employees feel like we're helping them and we're not replacing them?
Yeah, I love that. I love that you guys are thinking about that. I love the idea that we can't just be so constrained to whatever the goal was that we set out for ourselves. Maybe there is a revision, maybe there is a pivot, or maybe in your case, like you said, there's not. There's actually a double down on let's make sure that we focus on the people. So if you've said one word more times than any other, that word is family. But I also know you guys are thinking about revenue, and this show is for revenue accountable leaders.
Yes.
So how do you bridge that whole idea of family and revenue? How have you found that to be a revenue driver?
I'm going to use an example that we've been recently going through that we call ourselves the Q family. But as with every family, there are some downsides to at times, right? You go through challenges. And I think recently, we had a group that they weren't actually doing the job they were supposed to be doing. And we had a client that just came to us and said, how do we fix this? So it's balancing that, yes, I feel like you're my family, but the first and foremost focus that we have to have is, what does the client need? What do they want? How are we satisfying our clients? Family only goes so far. And I need that family to help generate revenue, help grow the business so that they get more benefits, so that we grow as a company, that we all see the benefits of the hard work put in as a family. But when a family member is not lifting their weight, I need the other family members to point that out, share with the team. And so it was basically a reset and realignment of going, guys, it's not just your team lead's job. It's not just, we all are in this together. So how do we as a family ensure that we're providing the best product possible so that our clients want to grow and that we're increasing as a company?
I can tell you work really hard on maintaining the family culture, your words. How have you seen that actually generate revenue or demonstrate itself? Like what's the natural outcome that all of a sudden OnQ is like scaling here and growing here? Like how have you seen that actually work out from a revenue perspective?
Well, I can tell you that I believe that it's a big part of our prospecting. When we do discovery calls with prospects, I've had now clients tell me that when they met with us, they were meeting with several companies, and for us, our Q family culture and how my sales team isn't the one that does all of these calls. I have the leads of all of the departments. They're part of this process. They talk about, because you can tell how passionate each one of them is. I see companies and they come in and I get their guy telling me what they do. And for us, we show from the beginning, we're a family. We're all, you can have 10 of us on a call and everybody's going to have their talking point, and you can just see, and I get from those clients now saying, when we met with you, you could see the passion in the people you were having speak. And so I think the family culture has helped us grow. I think that when we have our current clients that they go through growth, they look at us and our family culture and they feel like they can really talk to our people. There's not just one designated person that says, okay, you are designated to talk to Chip and you will talk for the team. No, our clients know if they want to talk to an agent or a team lead, we open that line of communication is open to all of our clients. So that family culture really has helped us expand and grow and increase our revenue.
So it sounds like it's a conversion differentiator, and it maybe sounds like it's a stick with you.
Yes,
converter.
So.
Oh, that's pretty great. How about this? Like, I'm wondering if you could share a recent time when you were thinking about this culture that you've built and the way that the culture needs to be, culture first thought process, if you will, how that shaped a tech or a scale decision that you guys were trying to make inside the company.
Well, I think that's going on right now. I think what we are currently working, we're beta testing our name for our AI agent is Qunity. And so our Qunity AI voice agent, this entire process has been, where are we adding to our labor side? How are we enhancing the job they do, improving, providing more consistency for our clients? And where does our culture fit? So again, I have monthly town hall meetings with all of our offices, and I've been ensuring them that as much as we talk about AI, as much as you see it on the news and you read about it, and we are working on it, my job is to ensure them we're not looking to replace you. Will there be a time maybe where we have to re-educate you so that you can work with the AI? I think this whole conversation, it's not just, it is shaping how we're deciding to move forward with AI. Because it could be easy where we say, this is what's built, it's going to be able to do this job, but we're not the company who wants that to happen. So we have to balance, okay, it can do this and it can do this job.
Right.
So what are we now going to do with this person who is doing that job?
Well, you're making a strategic choice to be strategically different.
Yes.
That's what you're going for. So let's keep on that track. How are you then using technology to expand and pivot? Where have you been able to do that?
So really for the past about 6 years, when people started automating, we really looked at how we could automate within OnQ Global. And so many of our clients, originally we were solely focused on healthcare, and there's just a lot of areas in healthcare that are automated, that can be automated. So we worked through that. We've helped, that improves the productivity of our agents, and it improves the consistency, and our clients were able to see actual growth within their current team from automation. And now moving that into the AI side of things, we now really get to look at each task that we do for a client and where we really believe that AI can enhance. For example, in one aspect of medical billing, accounts receivable, we have agents who have to call when you when you go to the doctor and your claim's denied. We have agents that have to go in and work how that claim and see it through to hopefully get it approved, right?
Excellent. Well, that makes a lot of sense. We were talking about the idea of what you're doing technologically. Are you doing anything in the digital space right now, a channel that is something's actually working, that you're seeing some really good benefits on a media channel?
So you are hitting on an aspect that we haven't really focused on over the years. So we're going to be 12 years old this year, and I think there was a lot of learning curves we had to go through. And so looking at how we're marketing ourselves, how we are actually showing that we are the thought leader in outsourcing, that has been a challenge, but I think we're getting a lot better at it. Our team's focused on LinkedIn and making sure that our website is where it needs to be. We've learned of other sites that can direct them to us. So that for me is a challenge. I'm not the pro on that, and I think we're working through it.
I think you're hitting on something that's really smart, because as the leader, sitting at the helm for the last 12 years, you're the one who's pushing it all down. And I think there are a lot of people who resonate with that. It's on your shoulders. It's on push, push, push. So maybe talk a little bit about that culture department. Like, what did that look like? And how have you been able to relinquish some of your hand on it? I'm sure that's the hardest part.
I will tell you that is the hardest part, because if anyone in the company who's been with us for more than a decade, right, they will tell you that I pretty much have been the architect of our culture.
You are culture.
And so when I knew that we had to create a department, there are times when I'm just like, nope, I would, and it's challenging for any leader. When you mentor the people that you want to lead, it's challenging for you to push them out of the nest and let them make their mistakes and learn on their own. So it has been a process over the past year. There have been a lot of meetings where I'm like, hey guys, let's regroup, because I don't think this is really what I envision our culture as in public being.
How is that received?
They really take it well, because the key is that I think between me and some of my vice presidents, we chose the right person to lead our culture department. It's not just about the person who might be the most organized, who has great leadership skills. We had to pick a person who she really, she just eats, breathes, and dreams about the Q family. That's who she is. And so her name is Gabby. And so Gabby really, every day she tries to think of how to build our culture. And as long as you pick the right person to lead your culture department, it's easier for someone like me, the big control freak, to step back and go, let them do their thing.
And how long did it take to find Gabby? How long did it take for you to realize that's the one?
I think we knew for pretty much several years. She was one of our agents, a customer service agent, and she was always involved in the culture activities, and she was always giving us ideas, and just through working with her over the years and seeing her at social events and having her help with social events, I think we all knew when the department was created that she was just the obvious choice.
I think it speaks to your idea of elevating from within.
Yes.
And that's such a strong thing. You could find somebody who understood the Q family by being able to do that. So I think that was a smart move. I'm glad you were here, but before you go, I want to do something that we do with all of our guests on While You Were Working, and we call it Quick Take. So here's the deal. I'm going to throw out a couple of questions to you, and the idea is just give me your quick gut reaction on them, your gut answer on that. So, all right, are you ready?
Yes.
All right. One family rule that your team lives by.
No phones on the floor. They all know, and they have to literally. They understand. I know you're not going to be able to check your WhatsApp or your text, but the world's not going to end.
Okay, how about a work family tradition that you'll never skip?
The tradition of always recognizing the anniversaries of our people. We take the time to celebrate each and every one.
What's the area you're going to be focusing most on next?
How we are bringing AI solutions but maintaining our people. And it's a challenge, but that's where we're focused.
Excellent. Okay, what about like this idea of aligning sales, marketing, and ops? What's the Sean solution for aligning sales, marketing, and ops?
You put them all in a room and don't let them leave until they all love each other.
What's a key mindset that you think leaders underestimate?
Balancing work and personal. I think that the mindset that we always have to work at a certain level, no matter what, and it's really challenging for me. But for example, I've told so many people, I've literally started focusing on just taking time to read fiction rather than all of the business books and the leadership books, because I do need my mind to stop. And so many leaders, we go 24/7 thinking about our jobs and our businesses, that I think all of us need to change that mindset to, where am I taking a break?
That's awesome. Thanks for that advice, and I hope you'll take that even more so for yourself. I understand that. Well, thanks for being here. Obviously, we'll link to all of your social profiles and everything, and if you're in the market for a contact center, we'd love for you to check out OnQ Global. Again, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Today's conversation centered on how culture and technology intersect to amplify revenue. That's why a recent article from Fast Company on purposeful play caught my attention. You know, meetings are often one of the biggest drains on productivity and culture, not because they happen, but because they happen without intention. The authors in this article introduced the concept of purposeful play, and it's short, structured activities that build trust, lower defenses, and spark creativity. Now, maybe like me, you're not a fan of trust falls and icebreakers. That's not what we're talking about here. Think playful ways to get a business outcome, like have a 1-minute explanation that the next team cuts down to 30 seconds, then 15 seconds until you get to that one clear sentence. You know, a few points stood out to me that directly connect to our discussion today. The first one is that purposeful play can break down silos between teams, and that supports faster decision-making and better collaboration. It's especially effective for hybrid or distributed teams, something many scaling companies, including those in Sean's world, are navigating. Leaders who use purposeful play see stronger engagement and more innovative problem solving coming out of their meetings. So check out the suggestions on ways you can integrate play into your meetings, because when meetings shift from rote updates to intentional connection points, they become culture building tools. And as our conversation today showed, culture isn't just nice to have, it's a growth engine. A link to this article is posted in the show notes. We'll also invite you to follow us on social media. You can search Rogue Marketing on Facebook and X, or Rogue Marketing Agency on LinkedIn. We're regularly sharing insights and articles that you may have missed, while you were working. See you next time.